Have you heard about Anchor? Well, it's one of the easiest ways to create a podcast. Not only is it 100% free, but it has a variety of creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or a computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast to other sites such as Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many others for you. And Anchor even allows you to make money from your podcast without a required minimum listenership. So whether you've been in the podcasting game for a long time or you're completely new to it, Anchor is so user-friendly that it's basically your one-stop shop for making a podcast. So what are you waiting for? Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. You're listening to First Fossil. Because sometimes you simply need someone to help you take that first fossil. Hello and welcome to First Fossil, a show where we learn together how to take that first fossil toward becoming the best versions of ourselves. My name is Candace Olushala, and today's special guest is an inspirational storyteller and published author of the award-nominated memoir, The Many Facets of a Starr, Purifying Truths. So without further ado, please welcome Amelia Starr. Hey girl, how's it going?
Hey. Thank you so much for having me on your platform, Candace. It's such an honor.
Yes, I'm so glad to connect with you. Please, how have you been? How's it been since the pandemic started last year? What's been going on with you?
Honey, don't talk about that word, that P word. We're not going to talk about that. But why is it here? What's going on? I didn't order
needs
that.
to go. Yeah,
It
definitely
wasn't
was
part
not
of my
on
plan.
the menu.
Okay, yeah. No, I'm not enjoying the pandemic. I can say two things that are positive, though.
Okay.
It has allowed us to stop and reset.
Mm.
So, with that being said, I've had to stop because we tend to go through the routine of life.
Mm.
And with the pandemic, we've had to think outside the box, even with working. Many places shut down. So, a lot of people had to begin working at home. There was a period of time when schools were closed, juggling home and life and work all in the same roof was different. So it did cause us to reset and hopefully reflect and to see the good in it, I guess, and rekindle relationships because many times we're so busy because we got to run to work or we got to go do this or we got to go to this game or that game or whatever we're doing extracurricular that we don't have that quality time. And the pandemic shut us all in, honey, so we had no choice. Let's play Scrabble. That's because we didn't want to keep seeing on the news about how many people were dying. That got to be depressing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it regarding that. But of course, I am a writer. So it has also forfeited me lots to write about.
Mm.
I've been able to put many things on paper that will be coming out in the months to come.
Nice. That's great. I love that. I love that one, you found positive things to think about during such a trying time for all of us, but two, it was also productive. So that is also fantastic. I couldn't agree more with the trying to stay positive, trying to keep our hopes up while also enjoying the pause. Cause as horrible of a reason to have a pause, when are we going to have a pause like that again? And so sitting in that pause and just soaking it all in and enjoying the time to just step back, I think was really important to take advantage of. So definitely appreciated that aspect of the pandemic as well. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, about me, gee, that's such a broad topic. Well, I am You know what? I am the matriarch of my family. I say that because I just came to that realization this year. Like, poor family. They have me as the oldest and quote unquote wisest one. Oh, geez. So
Ah,
I am the family matriarch. I've had ups and downs in life, but as you see, I love to interact with others and to look at the bright side of things
mm,
because we all have something that we could be downtrodden over. So it's very important that we focus on the positive, work on the negative, and help someone else along the way. And that's who I am. I am a star, as I briefly mentioned. My name is Amelia Starr. My middle name is Love. For many, many years, I wore that in shame. I was pretending my name was other things and I answered to other things, but I began to embrace that a few years ago. Um, I believe I've kind of grown into it, honestly, because Amelia, I think, is an old lady name. I know people are naming their babies that now, but when I was growing up, it was like a grandmama name. Like there was no other Amelias in my class, just
mm.
saying. So I wasn't very fond of that. And then the love, it was all right. But the star, like for real, that's what I get. I was just like, and the reason I say that is because it wasn't a family name. My mom's last name was Corbett. My dad's last name was Stoops. Where the heck? But back in those days, honey, they did a lot of things that aren't legal or allowed now. And so what she had said was, I was born at night. And so she looked out the window, and there you go. That's what I'll be writing on the birth certificate. Star for you. Like, really, mom? No thoughts? Um, and she did say that when she looked at me, that she knew she was going to love me forever. So that's how I got love. And with Amelia, they gave her him a book back then to look through. So she was looking through this book of names. And, the first one she saw that she liked, she only got to the A's before I started coming, was Amelia. So there you have it. I am a star. And I bring that up because I now embrace that and I put it in my message as I see others that are downtrodden or, maybe kind of bashful or shy or feel as though they're insignificant. Honey, it's not what your name is, it's what you answer to. You
Mm,
know, you don't get to choose your name. You can choose your nickname, but it's what you answer to. You have to know who you are. You are who you say you are. Your identity is so much bigger than a name.
mm. Wow.
And that's who I am, a star.
Mm. That was already a whole word. Well, that was thanks for coming to this podcast, guys. I'm just kidding. That was so good. Oh my word. Beautiful. Okay, so knowing all of that about you, what do you consider to be your first fossil, or at least one of them that have shaped where you are today?
Well, there's so many. Can you have more than one verse?
Oh yeah.
I
Oh
think
yeah.
so. But the one I'm going to share with you today is stepping out and writing my memoir.
Mm,
As I told you, I love to write, and I have been writing before I even knew how to write. I mean, I remember writing, when you're little, you write and it don't make sense. Like you should, but you think you reading it because it's what's in your mind. It's not what's on
right.
the paper. So that's what
Right.
I mean when I say I've been writing since before I knew how to write. I remember being fascinated with words, fascinated with here, here, and here, and two and
Mm.
two, and trying to catch people using them wrong, like there and there. Like, these things fascinated me as I was going through school, and I just love when I got introduced to poetry and ooh, let me
Mm,
see if I can make that rhyme. And it was right around the time that rap was coming out. So
mm,
everybody had to have their lyrics together. And I was like, oh wow. Because
yeah.
rap is nothing but poetry, honey. They just put another name to it. So,
Mhm.
it's just like I was just so fascinated with words. And Then I grew up a little sarcastic. I had to fight because of that name, Amelia Starr. I had to fight because I always got teased and bullied. And the way I grew up, if you get beat up at school, when you come home, you're getting a beat.
Mm.
Period. I didn't need to. So what I'm gonna do is knock you out because when I get home, I'm not getting no beats.
Mhm.
So it was a lot of fighting. Again, the rules were a lot different when I grew up. And so as I was formulating all of these words and thoughts and ideas, I began to be a little smart mouthed, right? Because I didn't think it was fair.
Mm.
A lot of things the teachers would do, the rules would do, in church, the rules at home, like, and what gives you the right? I mean, where are your credentials at? But then,
Mhm.
I'm 7, 8, 11 years old. I really shouldn't be. They called it back talking.
Mm.
But there was this thing called journaling and words.
Mm.
So, honey, I will get my journal, and that's why your stocking's the wrong color and ain't hanging down anyway. You couldn't find none the right size, and I could
Mm.
say everything I wanted to say in that journal and
Mm.
write it, and then I could come back and be like, yes, ma'am. Place because I got it out, and I found that that was a way of me releasing. And as I got older, I was able to use writing as therapy
Mm.
in a more productive way, but also to be able to write out my prayers, to be able to write out my thoughts. When you hold things in, it affects you, whether it's
Mm.
going to be mentally or whether it's going to literally affect your health and your physical. Um,
Mm.
Writing helps with that.
Mm.
So that's how I begin to write.
Mm. Wow.
And that's my first steps, I believe, is when I begin to write.
Mm.
But when I ventured out to writing my memoir, not writing it, because I've honestly been writing it forever, but when I ventured out to publishing it,
Mm.
that was a turning point in my life.
Mm. What was what was going on at the time that you decided, I want to be intentional about like writing it and actually getting my story out there?
There were a few things going on. Candace, the one thing I do have to preface is that I had been in a toxic marriage
Mm.
for over 15 years. It was
Wow.
riddled with domestic violence
Mm.
and every other type of abuse you can think of.
Wow.
So, out of fear, I began my memoir because the ex husband was so angry and would have so many outbursts and, oh my goodness, so many threats that I truly believed that I would never see 2020, much less 2021. Knowing that I'm the only person that experienced life the way that I experienced it from my mother, because I do have a sister and brother, but they didn't grow up the way that I did, nor did they grow up with me.
Mm.
I wanted my children to know where they came from.
Yeah.
So I began penning the memoir on purpose because if I'm not here, there's going to be something to tell my story. Because although you have an auntie and an uncle, they don't know it the way that I know it because they didn't live it.
Right.
And that's how I began being intentional about not only penning the memoir, but following through and getting it published. And honestly, Candice, it was so liberating to do so.
Mm.
At the time, I did not understand
Mm.
because the memoir is from birth, before birth, when my mother, was pregnant with me, up
Mhm.
until I had my first child,
Mm.
which was all before this toxic marriage. So he was not in it at all.
Mm.
However, there were things in this, if you want to call it marriage, that he would use to control, to belittle, to degrade me, such as you ain't nothing but a little bastard child anyway. Ain't nobody else gonna want you.
Mm.
But I
Mercy.
didn't want anybody to know I was a bastard. Well,
Mm.
geez, I just, oh, and well, you little project chick.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, people can know I came from the projects. Oh,
Mhm.
gee, because when you look at me, when you know me now, I'm not in the projects. And it's not something that I was trying to hide,
Mm.
but it wasn't something that just come up in general conversation, right? You know me as a nurse, you know me as a mother, you know me as an author, you know me as, there's so many facets that we all wear.
Mm.
So just so happened, unless you came from where I came from and grew up the way I grew up, you didn't know that. It wasn't something that I broadcast, even though I didn't hide it.
Mm.
But he made it seem as though it was just so horrible. And
Wow.
he would use that to control me. But
Mm.
as I wrote about that because I want my children to know, because they were my main audience. And I
Mm.
want them to know, yes, your grandmother was a prostitute.
Mm.
Yes, your grandfather was her pimp.
Mm.
Yes, he did try to get rid of me.
Mm.
Yes, your grandmother had broken ribs as
Mm.
she was giving birth to me. These things were important for me to share with my children because they don't know the pain. They don't know the struggle, honey. Them trenches they thinking about, they not the real trenches. They don't know what the projects is. They seen them on TV.
Right.
You know, they don't know the struggle. And so I wanted them to hear it from me, to understand from me, not to wonder what if, maybe, is it true? I wanted to put it all out there
Mhm.
because with that, it's not a sob story. It's a
Yeah.
story of triumph. It's a story of overcoming because you know what? This is what I am. This is where I come from, and it doesn't define me.
Mm.
Because even though I'm that little bastard child, that little project chick, that little whatever else you want to pull up from my past that I had no control over, I have taken that, turned it around with the grace of God. I am now, and you can fill in the blank for now. And so that just catapulted me into the woman that I am today. And
Mm.
I'm not ashamed of it. And my children now know where they come from
Mm.
because I did not know. My mother didn't name me after her mother or her grandmother because she was a foster child.
Mm.
So the story thickens, honey. We could do this all day. But now my children even know that. Why is it so important, to have family? Listen, honey, we are really all we have.
Mm.
Yes, you have friends. Yes, you have community, and you're not meant to be alone. So please don't discount them, but cherish your family,
Yeah.
regardless if they're fill in the blank. Everybody has a drunk, everybody has a drug addict, everybody have problems, mental illnesses, I don't know, cancer, whatever you want to say. But at the end of the day, you only get one family. So
Mhm.
cherish, enjoy, and respect. That doesn't mean that you don't set boundaries and that you let them use you. But just know that where you come from, it's not a weight to hold you down. You can still go anywhere.
Mm. Wow. That's powerful. You know, I've I can I mean, I've never been married. I don't have kids, but I can resonate with being in abusive relationships and how mentally binding it is. And when you have that outlet, like it's like your cocoon within the abuse that's like a
Hmm.
safe space where you can just get all of your, I guess, counter thoughts from what's being fed to you, like anything that's
Hmm.
contrary to that, and getting that out and using it as fuel to try to rise above those ashes is, I always find it very powerful when I encounter people that realize they had that, because so many people are in situations where they don't think they have that at all. And for you to go, wait, but I can write. Like, that doesn't seem like a big deal, like, wow, abuse and then writing, like, how do those even help one another? But it's the power of speaking your thoughts and knowing that the way that you can think through a situation and about a situation can truly empower you to actually get through the situation and even out of it. And you also had motivation with your kids. So I was actually curious to know, Like, at what point was it was in the marriage and you already had your kids when you started writing? So did you, like, write through the divorce and everything? Like, how did was it just, like, a very
No,
therapeutic experience where you finished before you ever got out of the marriage, or did you start after?
I was finished, before I was divorced.
Mm.
It was just liberating looking back because, see, I didn't know I was taking his fuel away. But it was something
Mm.
about when you call me a project chick now, I felt even though the book wasn't published, the whole world knows. It wasn't shame. Just like my name, it's no longer shame. I'm okay to be a star. I'm a shine bright. It had a different ring to it,
Mm.
even though none of that is in the book. None of that is in the book. It is specifically from before I was born up until I had my first son, which was all before this marriage. But it took away the fuel. It gave me the strength, knowing that I'm writing and my children will know. So even if you end my life,
Mm.
someone will be able to see what I've written and hopefully share it with my children. And
Mm.
because that's what I was writing for, so that God graced me the privilege to get out of it and to publish it and inspire others with it is beyond my wildest dreams. Like, who knew my story? Really? Little me? Because,
Mm.
see, when I told you about learning to write and that smart mouth, well, see,
Mm.
I believe that God was preparing me. I don't believe things happen for um no reason. I think that things are orchestrated and ordained. And
Mm.
that smart mouth that I had that would have got me backhanded when I was a little girl, or maybe I would have had to get the switch, it could have cost me my life in
Mm.
this marriage with someone that's mentally unstable.
Yeah.
So, learning to write, learning to vent through writing, even my style of writing helped me
Mm.
to get it out so then I can smile. So I don't have to maybe say everything that's on my mind or make sure what I say is what I mean. I believe that it was predestined, even right down to my name. Why didn't
Mm.
she say, I don't know, Susie Starr? Or, it could have been something where the first initial wouldn't have been A, and then it wouldn't have had the same ring. Or why didn't she give me her name? I mean, so many others have the name of their parent, one of
Mhm.
them.
Mhm.
So even that, even though I don't believe she was thinking that way, I think it was predestined. And I think it was a way for preparing me to pave the road for others. And I
Mm.
think that's what life is all about. You go through trials, tribulations, and you are triumphant so that you can encourage and motivate others. Come on, I did it. You can do it too. It doesn't stop here. This isn't the end. And even though, like I said, I was writing, it was therapeutic for me. It was helping me during this process. Because when I tell you we went from having everything to having absolutely nothing, it was painful in so many different ways. But
Mm. Mm.
the writing, you're able to get that out, the anger. So when you are, having to stand in line for a handout, when you're used to being the one giving the handouts,
Mm.
that pride isn't getting to you because you've already wrote it out. You've already worked through it in
Mm.
your writing. So
Mm.
you do what needs to be done so you can get to where you're going. And then you can continue to help others out.
Mm.
So I believe it was preparation, and I believe that writing is my gift. And I believe that I have the gift of helps.
Mm.
And the way that I am able to help is through communication. And most of my communication is written because once you write it and you edit it, what's on that page is what's in your heart.
Mm. Yeah. Ugh, I love this. And just to hear how you can tell just by your tone of voice how liberated you've been in this process, and and how much it has allowed you to step fully into exactly who you are. And everyone should get to that point in
Mhm.
life where they can just go, I really like me. I love
Mhm.
me and I really like me too. And you can't say anything to me to change that about how I view myself. You can't touch me, you can't speak over me, you can't threaten, you can't do anything. Like you can defame me all day long, but I know me, I love me, and I really like me.
And that is why the title is The Many Facets of a Star, because years people have known me
Mm,
and not known me. They
mm,
had no idea I was going through all that I was going through. There
yeah,
was a select few.
mm,
And then I thought that wasn't enough.
yeah,
Purifying truths. You have to face your truth.
mm,
Because the truth is, like you said, it doesn't matter what you say about me or what you
mhm,
call me. It's what I answer to,
mm,
what I enjoy, and what I allow myself to entertain.
mm,
So, yes, it's wrapped up in self love, but many times we forget who we are because we're so busy trying to please or trying to fit in someone else's mold. And we
mm,
get lost in that.
yeah,
And we have to make sure that we are shining, being who we are created to be. And whatever mold that we're trying to fit in, we don't belong there. There
mm,
is no mold for us,
wow,
I don't believe.
yeah, yeah. You're right. The mold that we can only fit in is the one that's literally tailor made for us, which makes
Mhm.
everything beautiful. I don't wanna be in everybody else's mold. Like, I
Right.
don't know why we were ugh, I hate that people are convinced to have to try to quote unquote "fit in." It's like, well, you can't
Mhm.
fit into a space that's not your shape, it's not your size, it's not for you, and that's fantastic.
Mhm.
Um, it's like looking at puzzle pieces and when people try to do a puzzle and then they really really hope this piece fits and they're like jamming it in there and you're like you need to stop, like that is clearly not meant to be there, so I need you to move that piece and we gonna try it again later when we figure out where it goes. Like the fact that we're taught so much to try to like push ourselves into this and to believe what every person says about us. It doesn't even matter who it is. They could be saying contrasting things and we're like, they're all right. No, that doesn't make sense. Like you are who you are. You are with you. You have the name that you have for a reason and you should fall in love with that regardless of what people are saying over you, what people are trying to do to you, and fighting for that, because sometimes it really is a fight. Like
Mhm.
every part of you has to fight to find out who you actually are on the other side of your perceived self. And when you get there, and I can tell by your story that you getting to that point was like really that first step. It's like, ugh, I am Amelia Starr. I am a star, right?
Mhm.
And I now I can really live, right? Ugh, that's
You know,
beautiful.
thank you. Unapologetically be yourself always. I think that many times society has taught us that we need to be polite and politically correct and to an extent, but they've went a little overboard. you
Mm,
know I remember being in modeling school in Philadelphia, and I was 5'10", but I was probably 125 pounds. Well, I
mm,
needed to be 123. There's this mold, but I've just paid you how many grand? You're But it's these pounds, and society does that in every part of life. Oh, eat this. Well, you shouldn't eat that. Well, brush with this kind of toothpaste. Well, wear these kind of clothes. And so we are so used to fitting in. It's like, maybe I don't like that. But that's what's offered to us. Do we even know what's going on the other side of the world?
Mm,
Because we're so stuck in our and the other side of the world could be the other side of town, depending on how far you go. I
that's
know
true.
people that really don't cross to the east side or the west side or the south side. They
Mm,
stay literally right there,
yep.
born, raised, die.
Yep.
So it's so limiting, and you're never able to be your best self when you don't get to experience the things that you like because given, you're only able to experience what you're given.
Mm,
So I just encourage everybody, to just step out there, see what's out there, and see what you like. Don't
yeah.
let someone tell you who you are, what you like, how you like it. They might be right, but they might not.
Mm, yeah.
Even down to extracurricular activities. And I know in many of the Black and Brown neighborhoods, we have, just for example, basketball, maybe swimming in the select few. But then if you go to other neighborhoods, you're going to see, we might have boxing, let's put it that way. Other neighborhoods, you might see taekwondo. Other neighborhoods, you might see lacrosse. The thing is that it's not intertwined. So what if the person that's playing lacrosse would really like to play basketball?
Mm,
Or I'm saying in the public system. Or the person playing basketball, maybe they're good at taekwondo. Or
mm,
the boxer, maybe he so we never know until we experience, but society will put this label on you. Oh,
yeah.
you're acting this, or you're talking that, or
Mm,
you're doing that. You think you're this because
mm,
you want me to be, because I happen to look this way, or I'm happen to be a female, or I
mhm,
happen to be this color, or
mhm,
and they put you in a box.
mm,
So we have to be so very careful that we're not in the box. Break out of the box. You don't belong in a mold. Live your life and
mm,
enjoy it.
yeah. What would you say to people who are in like a violent domestically violent situation? Is there advice that you would give, that maybe something you wish you had done that you didn't do, outside of, you wrote your memoir, but like what would you say to people who maybe are trying to figure out what to do? They don't feel like they have an outlet like writing, or something that you wish you would have done that you would want them to know?
I want them to know that they're not alone.
Mm,
The way that the abuser is able to keep you is by making you think that no one else cares. That's how they keep that control. There are people that care. You are not alone. You're not the only one that's going through it. Also, to try to keep it a secret, open your mouth
mm,
and leave.
mm,
Don't go back.
mm,
I went back 6 times before I left. Six
mm,
times,
mm,
you know. So don't go back. You can make it. You can do it. You did not come into this earth with anybody.
mm,
God made you and equipped you for your journey.
mm,
Anyone that you're connected with, soul ties or otherwise, is to complement you and you complement them. You don't need anybody to fix you or to complete you. You're already complete.
mm,
So that's what anybody in any situation, especially a domestic violent situation, a toxic or abusive situation, needs to realize. You're already enough.
yeah,
Get out. You're
yeah,
not alone. As I was struggling and began to share, there were so many, so many. There's more that are like me than are not.
mm,
And that was amazing to me because as I'm scared and I'm trying to keep it a secret and trying to keep it all together and wear this facade, I see that, you know, 10 people I work with have the same issue. I go to the doctor's office and 20 people there that work there have the same issue. You go to, and so it's rampant. It's the most non-talked about, I believe, situation, especially in females that I can think of.
Yeah.
Because we're quick to say, "Oh, look what I got. Oh, look at my car. Oh, look," but nobody says we cover it up. We can
Mm,
put the makeup on. We'll wear that smile.
mhm,
You have to stop, as my mom would say, God bless her soul, faking the funk.
mm,
You have to
yeah,
be real with yourself first
mm,
so that you will get the help and then seek the help. There is so much help out there.
mhm. Ugh, thank you so much for your candidness and vulnerability and being willing to share your story because it is freeing. It's the when people feel alone, it's because they're not hearing people talk about it. They're not hearing people be vulnerable and just honest, transparent. And
Mhm.
when they hear, even if it's just that one story, sometimes that's the story that they needed to hear to say, okay, like, I'm gonna push through. I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna overcome. And so I know this will bless people. So I truly thank you for unpacking your story with us today.
Oh,
Is
my pleasure, Candace. Thank you for having me. Oh my goodness. It's every time I get the privilege of telling, whether it's this portion of um, my truths or another, it helps me as much as I hope it helps someone else. Or let's say, I hope it helps someone else as much as it helps me.
mm, yeah,
Because in telling the story, it helps the healing.
yeah, yeah. I love this. Is there a way that people could contact you or find you on social media if they wanted to reach out and talk with you?
Absolutely. That would be super fabulous. Um, let's see. So it's Facets of a Star on Facebook and Instagram. I'm going to spell it because it's a little weird. So Facets, Facets of a star, Starr, and that's on Facebook and Instagram. Also, I have a website, www.facetsofastar.com. And if anyone is interested and want to get the book, it is on Amazon. However, I am in the midst of a 2-week book tour, and we are giving away a $25 Amazon gift card if you want to purchase like now. It is certainly meant to encourage, um, even if you're not going through anything.
Mm,
It's just a story of triumph, and we all love to hear when the underdog wins.
mm, yeah,
So,
I love that. Love it. Well, thank you. Guys, please hit her up. I mean, just the part of the story that we've gotten to hear today was already very inspirational. And so, highly encourage you guys to talk with her and read her book, go on her website, and kind of follow her journey as it is from here on forward. It sounds like it's going in a
yes.
really beautiful direction. So, thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. If there are any topics that you want covered in the future, any situations, if you have questions that you want discussed here, you can shoot me a DM. You can post them on socials. You can either tag me at First Bustle or just at Candace Olushala, either one. You can even text me at 859-800-3396. Please share with people or let them know how you related to this. Let them hear your story and see how it helps someone else as well. If you want to further support this podcast or any ventures that I'm doing, you can always go on www.firstbustle.com. And there's a ton of ways on there that you can support, whether it's buying First Bustle merch, becoming a patron, buying products from my sponsors and affiliate programs, and so much more. But the best thing you could honestly do is subscribe, leave ratings, leave a comment, and share. Share the podcast episodes that you really love. And I love hearing from you guys too. You guys are always sending me cool messages, texting me uplifting words of encouragement. And I just appreciate every single one of you guys for having been on this journey with me since I started last year. So thank you guys so much for your support. You guys all take care. Amelia, thank you again so much. I'm looking forward to seeing how life continues to take you through and how your story gets to continue to bless others. So we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye.